Hello and welcome to Business Ready, helping you help yourself. This is Parker Brown. This TED Talk or video will help you with everything from employees to websites. All you have to do is listen, and at the end of it all, you will be ready for business. Part 1 of 4 components that are very helpful in starting a business is all about employees. Employees are the backbone of a business. They're very important. So, focusing on them can be very helpful in growing your business into something bigger than just a small one. The first thing you have to do when considering employees is to hire the right people. Usually, in a small business, there are less employees than there are in a larger or more grown business, which is why you have to hire the right people with the right qualifications and people who share the vision for your business. If they share your vision and they know what they should prioritize due to that vision, then they're very helpful. You also want to do background checks. Even social media background checks can be helpful because you want to make sure that they are right for the job and also that they haven't committed any crimes that might harm your business individually. You also want to prioritize training on the topic of getting new employees. Prioritizing training is important because if they don't know how to do the job right, your business will not work. I promise you, your business will not work if they don't really know how to do that job. So that's why you really, really have to prioritize training the employees that you have just hired. And also, employees who have already been trained by you can train new employees to lighten your workload and make sure that you're prioritizing the right things when it comes to starting your business. You also want to communicate with your staff. Staff meetings and lunch meetings, maybe an email at the beginning of the work week, can be helpful to make sure that they know what they're going to do, they know their tasks, and they know how to prioritize their tasks and plan out their work week. You also want to support your staff. Supporting your staff is very, very important. Creating a motivating culture and a motivating workspace can be helpful in terms of productivity and overall enjoyment of starting your business. This is your dream after all, and you want to make sure that everyone is comfortable, especially you. This will be especially helpful because employees, they're starting with a small business. They're probably not being paid much or maybe not anything, and they are very important to your business. You want to make sure that they know what you think about their job and also make sure that they know how important you think they are, which they are. They are important. Employees are the backbone of a business, and if they don't know their job well, the business will not work. You also want to, on the topic of supporting your staff, reward your staff when necessary. You can't hand out rewards left and right, but if a specific work team is doing a very good job, you might want to reward them. This can include more flexible hours, maybe an hour off every other week. It could include casual dress days, and especially public acknowledgement. This can be helpful if you're presenting to a group of investors or local press. Because if they know that they're being acknowledged as an important part of your business, they will feel more supported, and this will increase productivity. Part 2 is pretty much how to start. If you have your idea, this is just how to start it, how to make it a business. The first thing that you want to do, this is very important, is to conduct market research. Market research is so important. I can't stress this enough. Market research pretty much means that you're researching competitors and your demographic around where you plan on starting your business. This could, even if you're starting an online business, be important because you might want to know how your product is faring on the online platform that you're planning on selling at. And I'll go over more of that in part 3, which is about online presence. But market research is helpful for any kind of business, any kind of industry, because if you don't know what you're starting and where, your business will not work. You also want to write your business plan. That's the second step. According to your market research, this is pretty much a roadmap. what's going to happen, when, and how. And I'll go more in depth about that in following videos because this is mostly an overview over a general idea of how to start a business. So people who watch this video will know, okay, this is pretty much what I have to do. I'll watch the following videos to figure out how to do this more in depth and according to my industry. According to your business plan, you also want to fund your business. Raising a capital, if you have enough of that capital, is great. You can start your business, get it up and running. But if the capital is more than you expected, or if you haven't raised any money for it yet, you might want to continue working, get a job due to your qualifications, and raise that money, get that money from loans, or you can consider investors. Pitching your idea to a group of investors can be very helpful. So, funding your business is easier than ever. And that's why it's so important to write that business plan, because if you know how to fund your business will get up and running faster. You also want to choose your business location. According to the amount of funds you have, you might want to consider your business location very carefully due to rent, demographic, and market research. And even if you're starting an online business, consider your demographic. Who are you targeting with your product and your idea? And consider where to put your product on an online platform. This could include Amazon, Etsy, or eBay. And I'll go more in depth about this in part 3. You also want to choose a business structure. This is more of a legal business plan. It pretty much legalizes everything that your business plan states. And I'll go more in depth about this in our video about business plan down the road. All right, now you want to choose your business name. You want to copyright that name and make your brand, because making a brand is very, very helpful when you're starting a business so that no one can steal that brand. And also, so you're a little more official, more legal, more finite in your business and how you're starting it. You also want to register your business. So this could mean with your state, with your county, or with your country. Making sure it's registered due to your business structure is very important, because then things are finally coming into action, getting into motion. It's finally becoming that concrete idea that you planned with your business structure, business plan, and market research. You also want to get federal and state tax IDs. We'll go over more of this in following videos about more of the legal processes of starting a small business, but you want to get those tax IDs. It depends on your state, county, or country, but you want to make sure that you have some sort of legal idea of how to get that ID. You also want to apply for licenses and permits. That can be helpful, especially if you're starting a restaurant. You might want to get maybe a liquor permit so that you can sell, or a liquor license so that you can sell liquor and alcohol at your establishment. You also might want to get a permit for outdoor seating. You might want to get a permit if you're starting like maybe a fast food truck, like a taco truck. You might want to get a permit for having that kind of Meals on Wheels kind of idea, and we'll go over more of how licenses and permits can apply to your specific industry in that legal video. So you also want to open a business bank account. This is pretty much the final step. This pretty much ensures the profit that you're making and how you can spend that due to your business structure and business plan, and how much funds you have. You want to separate your professional business life from your personal life. You don't want to get things mixed up there. You can transfer money from your personal bank account into your business bank account. That can work, but you want to make sure that your personal bank account is separate from a business bank account. And opening one is relatively easy nowadays. Part 3, online presence. In this digital age, it is so important to make sure that you have an online presence. So there are several steps that you can take to make sure that that online presence is there and that your consumers know that it's there. You want to build an email list. So this can pretty much send out your idea and your business to anyone whom you choose. Building that list will help spread the word, and it will be less costly than buying ads, perhaps. Another thing that's less costly than getting ads is search engine optimization, SEO. It's pretty much how you can use keywords in your website and social media presence to make sure that your account, that your presence, that your business comes up more when a consumer searches something that's similar to your product. Search engine optimization, mastering it, will be very helpful to your business and will help spread the word in a less costly way than getting ads. You also want to be active online. Being active online is so important. It's kind of like market research in its own little way. You want to know trends, you want to know popularity, you want to know those things, and you want to be active in that way so that you know how to craft your online presence due to the demographic and the certain trends that are going on. You also want to have a social media presence. This is important. Social media is so popular in this day and age that having a social media can be very helpful for your business. If you master SEO, that social media might become even more popular. And speaking of social media and being online, making a website. So helpful. You might have to pay for that domain, but it's still super helpful to make a website that isn't something that has already been created that you had to register as a seller on. You can make a website that directly addresses your idea, that directly addresses your vision and your focus. And this is so important because having a website individualizes your business and makes it very important. It can also be helpful to have a website to sell. You might not want to sell on Amazon or Etsy or eBay. You might want to sell, though, off a website that's individualized. All right. You also want to experiment with online advertising. Since you're just starting this business, you might not want to focus so much on online advertising rather than opting for a more cheap option, which is social media. That's free to create. And search engine optimization, once you master that, that's low cost. But online advertising can be expensive, so just experiment with it, especially when you have started creating revenue. But I be warned, because a small business, you don't want to go bankrupt in your first week or so because you spent too much on online advertising or advertising in general. Producing content can be helpful as well. I'm posting this video on YouTube, and if Business Ready was an actual solid business that maybe sold TED Talks online, this content would be helpful in raising awareness about my business. But it isn't a business. This is simply an educational resource for anyone who wants to start a business. But producing content on YouTube or on social media in a popular, trendy way can increase relevance for your product, and that's very, very helpful. You also want to research influencer marketing. Setting up a deal with an influencer who has already created an audience can be very, very helpful because you might not have created much of a fan base for your product or your social media or your website yet. So that influencer who has already created an audience can be very helpful in promoting your product and your social media. So that final step for online businesses or brick and mortar businesses is to register as a seller on online platforms such as Amazon, Etsy, or eBay. Or you can learn how to sell on your website. It depends on your country, what shipping and what things you can do with shipping, but registering as a seller on an online platform is helpful in increasing that online presence. And learning to sell on your website is also helpful. Learning to sell directly from your website that is individualized for your product and for your business is very, very, very helpful. All right, part 4 is making your product stand out. So this is more relevant for people who want to put their product on shelves in grocery stores or supply their products. So this is more relevant for those people. So you want to keep your design simple. Packaging, it has to be simple. It has to be simple because something too flashy or extravagant can actually repel consumers. You might want to put a lot on there. You might have an extreme passion for what you're doing, but keeping a design simple and to the point will attract more consumers than multi-font, flashy color kind of packaging. You also want to ensure that your design is relevant to your packaging and to your product. Because if your design, say it's a bear might be relevant for honey if you're selling honey and supplying honey, but a bear might not be relevant if you're selling, say, books or silverware or cups and plates. Like, you really want to think about what's relevant in your design and how that is relevant to your product. You also want to target your marketing through your packaging. This pretty much means that you know your demographic and you know how to target them through your packaging. For kids, for example, you might want to make it a little more colorful. You might want to include things like toys or cartoons to attract kids. Or you also might want to attract adults or a certain type of adult or a certain type of restaurant chain or shop, especially when you're trying to put your product out on shelves. And this can be relevant to choosing your colors very carefully, because choosing colors, a well-made color palette attracts so many consumers in this modern day and age. Aesthetic is everything now. So you want to make sure that you're choosing those colors and that color palette very carefully. And make an impact with imagery. You want to make sure that the vision is relevant through drawing. All right, now we're going to go into that next step, which is telling the consumer what they're getting. You want to make sure that the consumer knows what's going on in terms of your product. They don't want to buy something that on the packaging says it's something, but it's actually not. This is false advertising, and although it may work once, maybe twice, it won't give you a steady source of revenue because people will realize that it's false, and they will not give out steady sources of revenue. And although this may be tempting since you're just starting a business and you want to attract more consumers, you want to make sure that they know what they're getting and you're not falsely advertising. Your idea should be the thing that attracts customers, not a false idea on your packaging. You also want to tell your customer how to use your product because, I mean, we've all been there. We've all gotten something that we thought would be good, but we didn't really know how to use it, and we wouldn't buy it again because we didn't know how to use it. So to ensure that steady source of revenue, you want to make sure that your customer knows how to use that product. You also want to consider the environment. Considering the environment is so important because the environment, this is our home. And when with your packaging, you want to consider if it's recyclable materials or if it's maybe something that would just go straight to a landfill. You might want to consider everything when in terms of the environment. You also want to make your purpose clear. What's your vision? What's your focus? Why are you doing this? What's your story? What's your mission? And it can't be a novel, but it's going to be short, simple, to the point, and it will attract customers. Changing packaging with the seasons is helpful. Many people think that their packaging is relevant for all of the seasons, but making things special for holidays or a certain season or a certain time of year can be very helpful because it attracts customers who want something that is directly relevant to their home, to what they want, with their aesthetic, what they want to buy, and this can be helpful with seasons. Telling your customers your story is very, very impactful. And making your purpose clear and making an impact with imagery all addresses telling your customers your story. And it has to be simple, has to be professional, but still, tell them your story, and they will be more likely to have that emotional response. You should dare to be different as well. with your story, with your idea, and with your packaging. Because being different is the very thing that mostly drives customers to your product. And this addresses everything. Being different with your dream, with your business. Being different is so, so helpful. And with these simple steps and being different and following these instructions, you will be business ready. I'm looking forward to instructing you further, so I'll see you on Friday at 5. This is Parker Brown with Business Ready, helping you help yourself.